All right. So now that we're recording, official thank you again to everybody. Won't repeat everything that I said prior to recording starting, but we just want to thank everybody for coming and participating and or listening tonight. Um, you know, there are some months that we do these meetings and we have a theme or a guest. And this month we don't have a guest, but sometimes the theme of a meeting will arise out of the conversations that Josh and I have, sometimes the things that are said in the meeting, which is, I think, if I remember correctly, where this one started. But the whole concept behind what we're going to kind of start with tonight, and it doesn't mean that we're going to end there, because things can go in any kind of direction that they will during these meetings. But we always like to start with a direction, and the direction we're going to start with tonight is the idea of kind of facing down your past and coming to grips and terms with the things that you've done in your past as you move forward. I know that I can tell you that in my life, I read an entire book about regret recently, and in my life, there are things that I certainly regret and amends that I needed to make to people along the way in my path and journey along life. And in preparation for this meeting, one of the things that I was doing is looking over some materials that's associated with different programs of recovery. Whether it's the multi-step programs or sometimes a fellowship-based program or different things. They all have some kind of a version of reconciling your past, right? Some of them call it making amends, which means you have to face it and apologize to people that you may have wronged. And I know from the extensive conversations that I've had with Josh over the last year and a half, I know that this is something that he had to do. And I think we all have to do it, whether it's related to addiction or not. I think we all have people in our wake that we know we've wronged, that we were not maybe we're not the person we were at the time that we wronged the people in our lives. Um, and I think in order to really move forward, we have to kind of face that to ourselves and face that to the world. And it's a part of, I think it's certainly a part of growth as an individual. It's part of moving forward in our lives. And certainly, I think from everything that I've read, it's a part of recovery from substance abuse. And with that, I'm going to shut up because I want to hear more about what Josh has to say. Josh, it's all yours.
Yeah, everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah, perfectly.
Well, Rob, you bring up a super good point. This is part of the human experience, the human condition, right? If you will, kind of facing down your past, not painting yourself with the brush from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, a year ago, right? We're all trying to evolve, all of us, whether you're an addict or not. This is something that speaks, I would think, to everyone. Specifically, from the mind of a former addict, which is what I consider myself. I don't know if that tracks or lines up with the kind of AA line of thought. I do consider myself a former addict. To me, it's something I'm constantly. You guys, I feel like I've been successful in a lot of ways in moving past this. To me, it's a relic from the past, but I don't know that tracks. I talk to a lot of people in the program that you're in recovery, but I do consider myself a former addict, but that's just a little sidebar. Um, I think the idea of ever facing this stuff down, facing down what people think about you, what you've become, feels so overwhelming. What's the point of even trying? That's how it was when you're really in that dark place. So I just feel I want to acknowledge that, when we talk about these meetings and like what's coming up, like what's going to be the theme of the meeting, I spend a lot of time, well, like a crazy person, I spend a lot of time in my car talking to myself. And that's just one of the things but I'm so fucking lucky to sit here right now today as this version of myself, because there was a time that it was overwhelming, is like the understatement of the century. It was impossible. It was impossible to ever have Coheed fans say anything good about me again. It was impossible for any of the people locally to not look at me and have me be the local dirtbag. It was impossible for people to ever think good of me because I had just poured gasoline on anything good and set it ablaze. My reputation. I was cruel to people, truly cruel, because I was hurting inside. You have to sift through why. That's all part of this. Why did you behave like that? Again, we get into that's not just for addicts. Haven't we, every one of us in here, behaved in a way in the past that we wish we could change? That's called being a fucking person, man. Right? So in that way, maybe, I hope this is a bonding thing. I want to hear. I learn a lot in these meetings, man. I learn a lot from you guys. So I'm really hopeful that we're going to hear from all you guys. I want to hear from everybody. But it's important to acknowledge I'm just feeling blessed. Every time I kind of go over this in my head or I'm talking to myself in my car, it's kind of like an acknowledgement of the time. And really, time was the only thing that could fix it. Again, going back 15 years ago, it felt so beyond it was not in the realm of possibilities to ever kind of put one good foot in front of the other. And that overwhelming feeling is like something that addicts kind of encounter quite a bit. It feels impossible to ever get out from underneath this powder that, without it, you're sick. It feels impossible to just merely be good because you're constantly chasing not being sick by using this drug, and everyone already hates you, and overwhelmed by all of it. What's the point of even starting? That's kind of such a defeatist attitude. But I think even without drugs, we can find ourselves I can think of a bunch of situations that don't involve drugs. People, let's say you want to get out of your hometown because you did something in high school that everybody knows about. Case in point, there was a kid. I tell this story as a joke a lot in my life, but it's really sad. Maybe this is allow me to evolve before y'all, because I tell the story of this kid. I won't say his name, and it's funny. Like, I say this in like a funny way, but it's not funny. This is fucked up. This kid shit his pants in 6th grade, right? He shit his pants, and for the rest of his days in our town, he's name, shit pants, last name. That's his fucking name. You think that dude stuck around in our town? No, he left. I wish he was in this meeting, right? There are things that I've done in my life that like still do follow me, but if it's taken a lot of, I hope I've made amends. Rob said before, and said quite eloquently, that there are things that he's had to atone for. I don't know that my atonement is over. I've put in calls. I've called people. I've texted and called people that I felt like I've wronged, and it had nothing to do with drugs. It was shit from middle school, things I said that I'm ashamed of, that as I grew into this version of myself, recognized like the hurt that I'd caused people. Um, girls, girls that I'd been cruel to because I was so afraid of rejection or whatever the reasons. But I think my atonement is a work in progress. But I think of that kid, Jeff, and right now I'm thinking, like, that's not funny, man. That poor kid. And dude, it breaks my fucking heart. We saw him like as adults. We're 21. We're still youngish. We saw him at the mall. He was no doubt home for Christmas. And of course, like, we weren't quiet about it. We weren't mean to him, but you think that made him feel good? You think that made him feel good when we were like, yo, shit pants, what up? Horrible. Maybe there's some more atonement that I have to do. I think maybe I owe him a phone call. And I think maybe the lesson here for me that I'm literally learning in real time is sometimes like the things that you've done have to be kind of uncovered, right? If all evolving. Uh, I'll cop to that. This is an ongoing. The progression is happening before your eyes, and I'm like just realizing right now that's hurtful, man. I only thought that it served as an example of something well outside of drugs, but something that follows you around. And there's with all the stuff that revolves around drugs with me, there's a whole slew of other things that kind of chase me around and that I'd like to move on from. But most importantly, I'd like to face down uh, the hurt I've caused other people and the hurt that I've caused myself. Um, and that's a hard thing to do. I think it's hard for all of us. So I can never see if there's hands up. I hope there is, man. As you guys know, I can go on and on forever, but
We do have a hand up, but I want to ask you a couple of questions if that's all right.
please, well, you know me, I could talk for this whole hour. That's not hard. But I love hearing from people. I learn a lot. You guys they're smart people in here, man. And I got my notes, I got my pens. I feel lucky for this. This has a lot to do with my evolution. But that story about that kid, it just was one example. But really, in real time, I'm like thinking to myself, like, damn, I hope I see that dude out as a 44-year-old and I can go up to him and just say what's up. Because we were friends. Like, it's not like a thing where I was mean to this kid. We're not. Friends would be pushing it. Acquaintances. We weren't enemies or anything, but
Right.
probably fairly hurtful. But again, as an example, I think it still works. Getting beyond the shit pants aspect of it. There are things that have sidebar. I narrowly escaped being Josh shit pants. I shit my pants in Little League and made up that I slipped and fell in poop in the bathroom. It's some of my best work. I couldn't fit Josh shit pants Eppard for the rest of my life. Imagine you have to shit and you're the catcher and the pitcher's just he's walking everybody. And I'm not trying to be crass. This is just the fact of the matter. Look, Robbie wants to come in. Little farts are sneaking out. And I know the ump feels bad for me, but the ump's like a kid himself. Like he's like a 19-year-old kid. And he's egging me on like, dude, just any minute. He's calling wide strikes, trying to get me out of there and go to the bathroom. Finally, we're out of the inning. I throw as much of the catcher stuff off as I can. I run into the bathroom. I'm not trying to be gross, y'all. This is just the reality of what happened. I have the toilet in sight. The sight of the toilet threw it into overdrive. And as I'm pulling my pants down, I filled my pants with like little kid sloppy Joe diarrhea came rushing out of me. And the horror in my heart and like, you're 11 years old and you are about to be Josh Shitpants for the rest of your life. But I whittled my way out of it and said, another kid must have shit all over the bathroom. How am I not Josh Shitpants? Who fucking bought that? Who bought that? I came out there, shit all over me. I came out of there, it was feces all over me. But anyway, that was just a little sidebar. That's what happens with old Josh, but that's a true story. Anyway, sorry, Rob.
That's all right. Look, you and I have had enough conversations over the last year and a half that you never know what shit is going to be said, literally.
Well, quite literally. That's a true story, though. But oh, geez.
I want to refocus you a little bit and ask you kind of a bifurcated two-part question about some of the amends that you tried to make with people and tried to face up to the hurt that you caused. Can you tell me about a time when it went well and how it made you feel? And then also, as a contrast to that, when it didn't go so well?
Well, I hate to sound so lucky, Rob. There hasn't really been a time that it hasn't gone where it's gone like way off the rails. I'd like to think that maybe that's like partly that they could feel its genuineness. There's a girl I went to high school that I just think of her life. I imagine her. And we were cruel to her. Like this was a person that was, I think, in need and like of like a friend. And this shit is shameful, dude. This is deeply shameful. We just weren't kind to her. And there's a whole slew of people. Most of you guys in here know me as like this version of myself, right? But this is not, I was mean to people. I was really cruel to people. I got picked on pretty mercilessly in middle school. And the byproduct, that's not an excuse. The byproduct of that was like a really hard, cruel, but really anybody with a brain would see, if this version of me saw me, I'd see right through it. Scared kid, better be mean before I'm rejected. So you're just like mean to girls. It's like hitting on a playground, but there's really people's feelings on the line. Um, so again, I won't say this girl's name. There are some people that are local enough that they know exactly who this is. But I reached, if I was to say her name, I reached out to her, and at first it wasn't met with. But I made a joke that she dug. I said, if you have an Adam Sandler style list of people that are going to get it when you finally go off the rails, I know I'm probably fairly high on that list. And she liked that joke. And we just got to talking, and I explained to her in middle school what it was like for me as a guy. And, I think that was really eye opening to her because she had no idea. I think in her mind, I was this like, but come high school, I was like this, probably in her eyes, like really well adjusted, nice looking kid, like she probably, in her eyes, I probably had it all, and here I was like taunting her, being mean to her, and not mean in the classic sense. But again, this is shameful. I'm not, it sucks to admit this, but it's true. And, we talk to this day, we're friends, and, I'm really proud of that. It's funny. I was thinking about this at the gym. I was thinking about her. I was thinking about, sometimes I listen to songs that aren't mine and imagine music videos for them. And I'm imagining this music video that like she's in it. And I think about her often. And I think, sometimes I kind of think that some of the bad shit that's kind of come my way is really deserved, I don't want to oversell it. It's not like I was the meanest guy on planet Earth. I had, plenty of friends and people that I was good to, but there's certainly like, I don't know, still sifting through the wreckage, so to speak, as to why I would behave in such a way. But I think it was from a lot of fear, not just of rejection, but like a feeling of worthlessness, right? I say that a lot. Feeling worthless kind of conjures up, digs up, dredges up a lot of anger, right? I was an angry kid. I didn't like my body. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like my face. And I got picked on for these things a lot. So like, a lot of self-hate. A lot of these things are probably part of why numbing myself was met with such enthusiasm. When we talk about heroin kind of like rounding out every edge of life, these are the edges. The edge of, I don't like myself, and how do you communicate that when you're 11, 12, 13, 14? I didn't know how to communicate that. I wasn't a 44-year-old man with a life, a universe of experience to pull from. I just thought, this is my life. And this is the way it is. And I think the byproduct of all those feelings is a person that can be deeply hurtful and mean back to the world, and again, I'm uncomfortable like with it coming off as an excuse. There's no excuse to behave like that other than you behaved poorly. Own it, right? There's like such a gift in taking responsibility. God, the best thing I ever gave to myself was the skill of saying, wow, I was wrong. I wish I behaved differently. That shit did not exist. I was unable, and I don't know what happened. I don't know how the switch got flicked that I learned to do that. I don't know if I saw it somewhere. I do not know, but it's the best gift that a little humility, a little bit of just take accountability and responsibility, not just saying, wow, I was wrong and thinking that fix everything, really recognizing you're wrong. And it's been a gift that like, you're free to change your mind too. You don't have to dig in with everything. It's such a freeing thing to say, well, I think this way, but I'm willing to listen to information. I'm not cut off for it. That serves me really well in this world. I'm willing to hear your side. Like I'm a good faith listener. I'm not always dug in, ready to argue my position. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to shift based on what comes my way and explanations of it. And that works both like factually and emotionally. And I just wasn't equipped with those things as a young man whatsoever, as you're making your way. I think a lot of kids, I think a lot of people are a lot smarter than me. I'm not, I'm like just smart enough. And I don't mean this to be like overtly self deprecating, but really, I feel like I'm just smart enough to realize I'm stupid. Like if I was a little bit stupider, I'd be happy and I probably think I was really smart. But I know life is difficult and nuanced, man. It really is. And I feel like I'm just starting to figure out some things, but I'm thankful for the place that I've gotten to. And you know, in a nutshell, facing down your past, uh, it's something that we all share. It's hard for me to not come at it from an angle of an addict because that was, and me and Rob have talked at great length about this. I went from hometown boy made good to the whatever the ultra polar opposite of that is. And I knew that, and I could feel that everywhere. I was, oh, there he goes. He had everything and he blew it. I was the guy that blew it. I was the guy that spit in the face of opportunity. We saw that coming, like, and I had to face all that down. And how do you face that down? Time. Um, time.
Yeah.
That's the best. I don't know what noise that is, but
That was I had to mute somebody. Sorry.
that's the best advice that I could offer. Hey, I've lived 44 years, about to be 45 in 10 days or something, and time is the only way to time in a good faith heart where you're willing to listen and accept responsibility. And there are still people. You know how we got into this, Rob? We got into talking about how I had heard a rumor that I had sold the drugs to a friend of ours that died. And like it just stunned me. I was in disbelief, but I had to kind of accept there's a reason, even though that rumor is not true. And God's honest, you guys, if it was true, I wouldn't desecrate this group with a lie. I would tell you it was true because I don't feel beyond redemption. If that was true, I feel that there's redemption for me. If that was true, and nobody's saying like I killed him, they're saying I sold him the drugs that he used when he died.
Right.
Just not true. There's a reason my name got dragged into that. And I'm responsible for that, even though it's not true. And people have reached out to me and were like, hey, we never heard that. I didn't know where the story came from. And that guy's got his own journey. It's another thing about taking accountability. You start to like understand people more. I'm not mad at the person that started that rumor. If anything, I almost pity them in a way. And I don't mean that in like a really kind of condescending way. I mean, truly, I do. I feel a deep sympathy for that person because they lost a close friend. And I don't know, maybe they needed to reach out and throw some jabs and stabs elsewhere to make them feel better. I don't know. That would be in line with their personality, at least when I knew them. We're going back a long time. But that's part of my past. And there are still things that are going to follow me. I can only try to push forward in hopes of and put a good life together, not one day at a time in an overwhelming way, in a good way, one great day at a time, and the other shit falls into place. But I see some hands up, and I'm sorry.
I'm going to hit you with one more question before I get to the first hand, which is Raz. One of the things that you and I have spent some time talking about in the last year and a half was, by your own admission, your behaviors, put other people's livelihoods at risk. I mean, you could have derailed what is essentially a multi-million-dollar machine where people's livelihoods at number of different levels kind of relied on that.
Yeah.
When you came back into the band, there was obviously some moments of coming clean and reconciliation. Can you talk for a few minutes about that?
Yeah. I mean, I was so selfishly, heroin addiction does not leave room to worry about anything but your heroin addiction. It's really true, man. Like there is no, oh man, my friend Travis just bought a house and I'm going home from our European tour, costing us untold hundreds of thousands of dollars. All of that means nothing to me. Zero, because faced with that sickness, and also maybe faced with that sickness and also being a young selfish shithead, quite honestly. There was, at the time, talk about overwhelming, it felt like irreversible damage. Would you believe it didn't really like fully land in full that Travis had just bought a house and I had threatened everything till like this year? He was
Mm.
telling the story, and we don't talk about the past often in a good way. It's like we have moved past it. And I said, God, man, I I just never put together that very specific like ingredient. I knew about I got it in a general way, of course, but I was like, oh my God, Travis, you just bought a house. You had like just closed on your first house. And it was a big purchase. And here I am threatening everything, but I just was too blind to see that at the time. But in terms of you had asked about like coming back into the fold, and yeah, I mean
Yeah.
there was yeah, it wasn't like, hey, welcome back, everything's great. There was like a good chunk of time of like re-earning trust. Can you imagine? Right.
How did it make you feel when you knew you had that trust again?
Well, it's not like one day you wake up and it's just there under the Christmas tree, but I think I think most days it's really like one of my life's greatest honors and one of my life's greatest accomplishments, because here's something that felt irreversible. Um, the damage that I had done, not just to my own career, but my relationships with those guys, and being in a band, especially now that Rob goes from like being a fan to now he's close to it. You see, there's warts and all. It is a marriage. It is not always pretty, but there is a deep love for those guys. I love those guys. And I know that those guys love me. And I know that those guys, what do I say? Those guys could find heroin in a needle outside my hotel room door, and they would be like, hey, man, some junkie dropped their heroin and needle outside Josh's door. Like they wouldn't even, yeah, I take a lot of pride in that. I take a lot of pride in that. Like when I passed out in 2019, none of my friends were like, oh shit, Josh is back on the stuff. It wasn't until like days later on Twitter, somebody said that. And it didn't even like connect to me that someone might think that. That's how removed. What a great kind of feeling that was. I have removed myself so wholly from that addiction and that person that it didn't even enter my mind or my wife's mind or my brother's mind or my dad's mind or my mom's or whoever.
There's a freedom in
Uh,
that.
yeah, well, and it's like one of my life's greatest honors. And but there was a time we get into facing down your past that this felt so irreversible and so overwhelming to even begin the process, the long, but again, time. And we have to accept that. We have to accept that time. I remember being a junkie and I wanted everything fixed. Hey, I cleaned up Tuesday. I want everything fixed by Wednesday, because I wasn't with because it was bullshit. I'd walk up to people in a bar with a shot of tequila in one hand and a cocaine on my nose and tell them I'm clean, meaning I'm
Mm.
not doing heroin for the last 8 hours. I haven't done heroin because I've done an 8 ball of coke and I'm drunk off my gourd. But I wanted, desperately wanted to move past this reputation that I was only digging deeper and deeper and trashing more and more and more. Um, that of course it feels overwhelming because I wasn't willing to do the actual work. Actual work felt overwhelming. Fortunately for me, the work is just living life and living a good life, because eventually that road, I hate to sound like a kind of cliched one liner, but that road of addiction that I was on leads to two places: it's jail or death.
Or death. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the only places that it leads, and that is, unfortunately, we know that's true from a lot of people that we've lost, and a lot of people in jail. So, um, but yeah, in terms of the band management, people, my brother Kwame worked for us, who's not my blood brother. He's my best friend. Me, Barry, and Kwame, friends from age 5 and still friends now. I call them my brothers. They call me their brothers. He was mad. I threatened his well-being. He works for the band. That is his job. When I go home, he's got no job, but I
Mm,
just, that took time. Kwame had enough of me.
mm.
I don't I don't know that our relationship ever fully recovered. Honestly, I mean, it was all love, me and Kwame. Life is also busy, and I know that Kwame knows that
Right.
I would take a bullet for him, and vice versa. But yeah, he was mad for a long time, and with good reason. But he knows, I know that he's proud of me and happy for me, and vice versa. Kwame's put together an incredible life for himself, and he knows that there's like a deep affection and like a real true iron love there between us. But yeah, he was pissed for years.
Mm.
I was mad at him for years because he owed me $500 previous to this. And he was like, no, fuck you. You just cost me thousands of dollars. You just quit the band and went home. What do you mean? Like, and it took us
Funny
both
we funny
through
we
this.
hold on to things though, right?
Yeah. Well, I had to realize I had to take some responsibility. Yeah, I just cost him whatever, but this was his main job. And I
Yeah.
just went home. And there is, I guess on the flip side, if you're gonna make a case for me, I always look back, Rob, if I let's just say I was an addict still, but I was this version of me, I'd have just told those guys, I'm an addict. I've invited something in, you guys, and I'm scared. But I was trapped in a cycle of lies. I'm not using drugs. I just have to go home. No, I have to go home. And these guys were just like, what the I remember me and Travis got in a fist fight outside the rehearsal room, which thank God Travis took it easy on me because anybody that's seen break in half. But he punched me in the face. He was mad, dude. He was mad at me. Like, I remember him taking me aside and saying, what the fuck are you doing? You're throwing everything away. We're about to go make another record. Like, it's happening. We've worked for this. This is all you've ever wanted. What are you doing? But I couldn't even see my own dreams. All I could see was I have to get home. There's enough oxy at home to at least get me not sick, and then I'll fix it. And then all of a sudden, fucking 4 years went by, and
Yeah.
I
Time will
got
get you like that for sure.
yeah. So yeah, I
All
remember I
right, so
told
I'm gonna get to the first hand if that's all right.
please, yeah.
Uh our first hand comes from Janine. I'm sorry, no Raz. Was it Raz?
Yeah,
It was Raz. I'm sorry.
Hi, friends.
hi.
Um, I want to talk about a couple different things that you've made me think about while sharing your story. Um, the first is that, like bullying wise, I was also very targeted as a kid. Um, and coming from the aspect of someone who's been bullied, there is nothing nicer than getting an apology later. Um, Forgiveness feels good on both sides when you can reconcile with someone. And I think a lot of the people that I've done harm to or that have done harm to me, it's hard not to retaliate or be defensive when you're targeted yourself. Um, but growth is recognizing where your mistakes are. Growth is recognizing how to be authentic to who you are and not letting other people's opinions get to you. And growth is a continuous process. It's something that doesn't stop. It's something that you keep working at once you've obtained enough self-awareness to realize that you have a space to reconcile with other people. I am super proud of my brother. My brother is a recovered alcoholic. He flipped 6 different cars across a freeway. 6 different cars, and managed to live and come out of it. He's thriving. He's 3 years in recovery, and I've never been more proud.
Bravo.
Authenticity is really important. I feel that's a really strong part of coming to terms with things you've done or things you've experienced, and learning to love one another enough, loving yourself, loving the people around you to recognize that it's time to heal. That's a big part of the process, especially if you don't love yourself to start with. The Afterman arc in particular taught me that love for yourself and love for the people around you can give you hope for redemption. And that's really important to me because there were a lot of people in my life who I've lost that I can't make up to now. There are people I've hurt that I can go back now and be like, hey, I love you and I'm sorry. And that's really hard too. The last quote in Dark Side of Me, where it's after All Mother and Cyrus talking about not understanding why you do something from the perspective of an AI computer, and Cyrus answering her question of, is this what love is? With a yes. That was the turning point for me on when I started learning to heal myself and to reach out to others to heal the problems that I've had with them. It's a process I'm working through even now. I have to have brain surgery in 3 months. And the biggest thing I'm working on right now is reaching out and reconciling what I can because it's scary. But the most positive thing I've learned out of trying to reconcile with other people is thank you versus I'm sorry. I'm sorry is a really great starting point for, hey, I fucked up. But then being able to follow it up with a thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you for letting me try to right my wrongs is huge. So that's what I'm working on is thank yous. Thank you for giving me the chance. Thank you for letting me love you again. Thank you for letting me help make up for the mistakes I've made. That's all I have to say. Thank you for hearing me out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing with us too.
Well, Raz, in the middle of that, I was thinking to myself, God, Raz has got to speak every time. But then, God, you said so much that sometimes I get like jumbled. The thank yous. I'm so, God, Josh, please, I hope that I did say that in the one instance I spoke about where I had reached out to this girl that I went to middle school and high school with. And I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask her tomorrow because we talk kind of frequently now. I mean, not like a crazy amount, but like, I don't know, at least once a month. The thank you is such a great place to come from. So glad you shared that. And I'm going to be like really mindful of that because it's such terrific advice for me, for all of us. Really terrific.
It's something that my therapist taught me is that I'm sorry, especially when you have trauma or PTSD or any mental health condition, or you come from a background of recovery. I'm sorry is a great starting place for I made a mistake. But thank you acknowledges that the other person is taking time and effort on their side too to hear you out when they maybe don't owe you that. And so I'm sorry is a great start, but if you can reframe it as thank you, it goes so much further.
You're so spot on. And I just am absorbing exactly what you're saying so loud and clear. And I'm just so hopeful I kind of feel like it was part of my energy with this one call I make, whatever atonement opportunities I have in the future, it's most certainly going to be a part of them. What terrific and really well said. But just briefly, it's a hard thing to talk about. There's a lot of people not here that I'll never get to. There's things that I carry a deep, not just shame, but like there's like a survivor's guilt mixed in, there's like of our friend group. So just really briefly, in one of the meetings I had brought up, it wasn't a meeting. It's the trailer, the extended trailer for the documentary that Jordan Forkey's making, where I talked about a friend of ours that's part of like our friend group that's no longer alive. And that I and again, I'm fully aware of the shame. Believe me, I feel the shame, is that I taught him to shoot up. He sat in my apartment and asked me to show him, and I was so not, I don't know that I was overjoyed to show him, but yeah, I couldn't always shoot them up because that's what kind of person I was, you guys. People would come to my house so I could hold their arms and shoot them up. I mean, you want to talk about shame? Jesus Christ, I don't. Yeah, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I did not do that. And then when I showed our friend Corey how to shoot up, I don't know, I didn't. We were all shooting up. We were all trapped in this awfulness, but there's no excuse. I struggle with this. And yeah, there's no, I wish Corey was in this meeting. And, I have another friend. I wasn't that close with Corey. He's like a friend. He's in my friend group, but not, he was, and I know this might sound odd, but try to apply it to your own life. My very best friend had another friend who that was kind of his best friend. Corey was my best friend, Barry's other best friend. So we're all like around each other, but Corey and me aren't. Barry is the connection, and we would all shoot up together, but we came within inches of losing Barry too. And I ain't talking about his heart surgery. I mean, to drugs. I mean, Barry had hit. And you know what, dude? Barry deserves a lot of credit because he's never held that in any kind of negative way to me. I think there's an understanding amongst junkies. That wasn't like, hey, I want to hurt Corey. That was, they thanked me. They begged me to show him. Dude, you got to show me how. Oh, dude, look, it's easy. There's a saying in the junkie world. It's called giving someone their wings. And a guy had to give me my wings. You think I knew how to shoot up? I did not. I had to be shown how after a few months of being shot up and going and bothering him. Dude, can you please shoot me up? Please. Oh, fine. Here's how you do it, and shows me. And yeah, Corey's gone. And there's people that I'll never, never get to say, that I'm sorry to him. It's more of not really atonement. I am sorry. But anyway, in a more broad thing, I'm just really glad you brought that up. And in bullying, I say this a lot, but it's so powerful to me. When my mom, Alzheimer's, had robbed her of everything except the bullying from when she was just a kid. And goddamn, kids can be cruel, man. And it leaves scars in ways. I have my own. There are times that it lands and it'll just leave me sometimes angry, sometimes sad, usually angry, embarrassed still to be me, just embarrassed just to be me because of this thing that was said to me, I don't know, in 5th grade or in 7th grade, and it's like, I think as adults, it's important when kids talk about being hurt, or if we feel that kids are hurt, to remember the scars that this leaves. Because there's like another line of thought out there, toughen up, that's part of life. And an element of that might be true, but it's also true that these things leave lasting, forever scars. My mother's living proof. She didn't know who her sons were, but she remembered getting called fat. She remembered getting called fat in school. And, that's something that I got called a lot. I was Josh the fat boy. and I wasn't even that fucking fat, but I just, I have like body dysmorphia to this day over it. I've got, these scars of forever. Um, but yeah, okay, let's move on. What a great share. I just floored by how good of a share that was. Raz, I hope that you keep coming and that you keep sharing. There's so much for us to kind of get from you sharing. So thank you so much. That was something else. It was really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely was. Thank you so much for sharing. Next hand that we have up is Kayla. There you are.
Can you see me?
We can see you and hear you fine.
All right. Um, so lately I've been dealing with this is kind of going in a different direction. Um, More of forgiving myself because I've been dealing with a lot of health issues lately. And I'm a little over 3 years in recovery, and I can't stop this thought in the back of my mind that I somehow did this to myself, that these health issues that I'm dealing with are because of all the drugs that I put into my body for all those years. And I feel like I've grown so much. I've I've really changed my life, and I still to this day have to deal with the consequences. Like I just went through a lot of dental work, thousands of dollars because of years of neglect. And it was all because of drugs. Like I was just so wrapped in my own head and sucked into my own world that I just kind of let everything else go. And I'm still dealing with it to this day. Like currently seeing doctors about issues and trying to figure out what's going on. And like I said, I just can't let the idea go of that I did this to myself somehow. And there's like no proof of that, but it's still in my head. And that's just something that I'm dealing with dealing with the past.
Is that it? Are you done?
Yeah.
Because, man, any addict in here feels you so hard, dude. Like, yeah, like, um, I'm like 15 years removed from street drugs, and I'm just like, for a long time, it's like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then all of a sudden my heart, and then it's like, oh, my liver's a little, and then it's this and that. It's like, what did I do? Did I get out unscathed? Come on, who's that lucky? I mean, I remember this hospital where I had this abscess on my arm, and forgive me, I'm sure I'll do the quick version. And I said, am I going to lose my arm? Of thinking the answer is, of course, going to be like, of course not. And they were like, probably not. And it fucking scared the shit out of me. And, it was like a half a baseball, maybe softball size growth on my arm. That's the type of shit that I was shooting at me that did that to me. I constantly, Kayla, still think of this. And I think there's an element of we can't always paint ourselves with the brush from all those years ago. You said you're 3 years in recovery?
Yeah.
Well, fucking right on, of course, right? It's gangster shit, dude. And we have to find some forgiveness. Hey, who out there has lived a perfect life? What, nobody's ever eaten some McDonald's or some Wendy's? Bad for you, too. I suck on Hershey Kisses for fucking years. I go to sleep while eating Hershey Kiss. I literally sleep with a Hershey Kiss on. That ain't good for your teeth either. And I'm trying to change that, right? That's all the journey that we're on. And it's like, we got to find some forgiveness for ourselves. Was it good for our bodies? No. Does it have to paint? Does that brush have to paint us for the rest of our time here? Our brief moment in the sun that we get to be alive and think and talk and feel? I don't believe so. Do your best to be healthy and get all of a sudden, what a gift. We're just like everybody else. We're doing our best to be healthy. So there's plenty of people out there that have thousands of dollars of dental work that never touched a drug. So we're welcome back to the land of the living. And we're just, hey, guess what? We're normal people. This shit happens. But I feel you. Believe me, dude. It's always there. And I'm talking to myself too. I'm flipped around. I'm talking to me too. I hope that I can find more forgiveness for myself for the damage that I've done to my body and to my mind and my blood vessels and my heart and my, I want to be here. Isn't that where maybe some of those feelings come from, that we want to be here? I don't want to get taken out.
I
sorry.
finally do. I want to be here. I finally do.
Oh
You
my
know,
God, like, what a gift, because I'm willing to bet both of us probably really didn't want to be here for a pretty long time while we were using. So
facts.
a gift, like I'm desperate to be here. I'm sorry for what I did to my body, but I'm also sorry for the Hershey Kisses, which is an addiction, and it's another kind of addiction, and I'm working on that one. But now the Christmas one comes out. Come on, gotta eat some of those. Those are amazing.
I
Try
just
not.
bought some Reese's trees today, so I got my own little sugar addiction.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I hope that we can find, all of us in here that struggle with that, some forgiveness for ourselves. I think everybody needs some forgiveness for themselves, right? I know I can be like really incredibly harsh on myself, and I'm trying, body dysmorphia before, and like just a skewed way of seeing myself, and like, like doing the Drumeo thing was such an uplifting thing for me and awesome, until like that one video came out and I read about how ugly I am. And I'm like, oh, man,
No.
this is what being, guess what? This is called being a visible dude in any way. Like, imagine Katy Perry went and read her comments on YouTube, right? Or Taylor, like beautiful people. The people say the most horrible shit about them. And maybe it's teaching me to, like, on one hand, toughen up, and also just like don't pay that negative crap any mind, and find some, like, because I do like myself. Let me ask you a question, Kate. Do you like this version of you? 3 years?
do.
Yeah, that comes off the screen to me. I feel like you'd have really thrown me off the rails if you were like, no, I fucking hate this version. But yeah, we like on here. Like, and I think there's a gift in that, and finding some, to be soft on ourselves a little bit, because we probably share a lot. That was a really great share. I hope you come back and share more. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
for sure.
Thank
feel
you.
I struggle with as well, and I'm sure every addict in here does as well. But thank you, Kayla. Sincerely, thank you so much.
And
Of course.
everybody certainly will have their you and their thoughts for sure in here.
Thank you.
We really appreciate the share. And so let's see. I gotta see, how do I do this? I gotta go to list. There we go. Remove pin. Okay.
Oh,
So the next hand we have up is Dave. Dave, I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself, and there you go.
yes.
What's
What's up?
up,
Oh, beautiful, dude. What's up?
dude? Josh, you got me a couple minutes ago, bro. I was over here. I'm over here trying to hold myself together while you're talking about all the local shit, and you got
Yeah.
me for a minute. I'm not gonna
Well,
lie.
well, you have a personal connection. I didn't know you were in here. Yeah, you have a personal connection. Probably a bunch of the shit I'm talking about. So,
Yeah, man.
uh,
Yeah, man.
I'm really glad that you're in here. Dave's one of the best guys that I know. He's one of the most hardest working, honorable. What a great guy. I'm not trying to make you feel weird, man. You're just Dave. My life. I can't. I don't know if you fully understand how much I appreciate you. I want to just thank you for being you. You lead by example, and you're one of the best guys I know, and a serious inspiration to me in my life, and that transcends one road. I think it's all roads. So, and thanks for being in here, dude. Sincerely, that fucking rules.
Well, I was here probably a few months ago, Josh, and I said to you something weird, right? I said, I'm only a dude that's like trying to not drink, and then I feel like sometimes that could be, it can almost feel like it's insignificant to what others are dealing with. So for me, that's why I'm back in here. And because somebody may just need to hear, like you said, Josh, that, 1,128 days today, right? So that's big for me.
That's huge. Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no joke, Dave. Congratulations. It's a big deal.
So it's like, I try to like, and I'm getting choked up because, it's like, again, it's cool to share this with everybody. And, I'm working on myself every day. So, um, it's one day at a time. But like you were saying, going back into the past, right? I was not a nice person when I was drinking, and that was, man, that was
Right.
something that you don't realize. Yeah, you don't realize that version of that version of you until you see a different version of you. Yeah, that's really all I got because I don't think I could really say much more than that. But
Well, Dave, again, what a gift though, man, right? What a blessing it is to take these steps to say, wait a second, that's not the version of me that I want to be. Isn't that in and of itself evolving? And that is like the lifeblood, the home base. It's like the DNA of evolution. I don't like the person I don't like this isn't the kind of person I want to be. Let me change that. Dave, I didn't realize it had been that long. I know down at
yeah,
the field stuff that you're not drinking, but dude, that's a huge deal. When you talk about feeling like it's insignificant, I like to there's a saying in the rooms, like the actual AA rooms, uh, one is too many and 1,000 never enough in terms of like ever picking up and drug use. But it really, like, if we can kind of transpose that, dude, if drinking was affecting your life, then you're in the right place. What, just because you weren't in an alleyway with a needle? By the way, alcohol will literally kill you. Drinking every day and then stopping it's the one thing that
yeah,
will literally kill you. So there's nothing about this that was insignificant. Even if you were having one drink a day, but you know what? It changed the way you behaved and you didn't like. These are big steps.
yeah.
Recognize, talk about forgiveness for ourselves, but also, man, recognize when it's time to big up yourself. That's a fucking huge deal, bro.
And
Uh,
that's is what you exactly what you just said about drinking every day. I didn't think it was a big deal until I was going to bed with a Coors Light on my nightstand. You know what I mean? Like that. That to me was the acknowledgement of, damn, you're taking this shit way too long. Way too far. And then I said, oh, I'm going to try quitting. And you know what? Just like you said, when you stop to do something, your body reacts to that, right? And in
yeah,
2 days, and 2 days later, I got a blood clot in my leg, right? So it was literally my body telling me, dude, you're fucking your shit up, and that's what it was about. And now that's been 3 years now, I don't even think about having a drink. Sure, there's days that are like, man, I would really like to crush a six pack right now because my day sucks. But everybody has days like that. And, I actually reached out to Barry a few times, and Barry just said, Dave, just tell yourself today you're not doing it. And then tomorrow when you wake up, decide that you're doing one more day, man. And that's it. And that's really what it comes down to. And yeah, it's, and you just got to keep working on yourself. And Josh, we've spoken so many times, about self betterment and trying to feel better about yourself and acknowledging yourself. And, you know, it's just, I try to do that for my own well being of saying, dude, you're good. You're doing the right things. Sure. Should I have eaten Chipotle today? Probably not. But, but, just try to stay healthy, and try to do the right thing for yourself. And that's why I'm here tonight. And, I never got a chance to jump back on because it was always softball or it was always something else that came up. And this was the first time I've been able to come back and kind of reiterate that out loud because I did feel like it was insignificant because I didn't feel the problem was as harsh as somebody else's problem. And
well, fair
it's
enough.
tough.
All if it's affecting you in your life, then it's worthy of talking about it, and it's worthy of coming here and talking to us about it. A bunch of people in here don't even have a history with drugs, but there's a commonality, man. There's a shared
Yeah.
condition. Mention the Chipotle thing, and we're all, and it is a gift to us, man. We all want to be healthy. Why? To be here and try to feel good and feel good about the people we are. And Dave, what's the saying? You can't see from here, but you see your finger perfect from here.
Yeah.
You're like the shining example of what it means to be a great father, what it means to be a great friend.
Dude, you're trying to make me cry again, Josh. Shit.
Putting a toilet in just like 2 days ago, Barry was here. And I was like, Dave Jackson, man, Dave Jackson's the kind of guy, like, if you need help, Dave Jackson is there. You are a man of honor. And I dig that. And I'm proud. I'm getting all cry because I'm so proud to call you friend. I'm glad that you came in. It means so much to me when locals come in here, man. It means the world to me. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing. Sincerely, I fucking love you, Dave.
I love you too, bro.
If you were here, I'd be hugging all over you right now. I just love you so.
No doubt.
Like a close friend of mine. We'll play softball together. Dave's a beast. That's awesome. Well, thank you. All right, so another great. We only get great shares in here. Every time somebody shares, I take so much from it. Selfishly, it just means so much to me to hear from you guys. I just feel like for the next month after, my tank is filled of things to chew on and think about. And I do feel, as corny and after school, especially as it sounds, there's like a community to this where there's so many. So Dave's thing was like drinking, and he felt like it wasn't, as over the top as like, hey, me, I destroyed everything and fucking I'm on the verge of death from heroin. But there's still this commonality. There's these threads. And I think it's just that we're all people. No matter what you identify as, we all share something, and that we want to be the best versions of ourselves. And we're all in the fight. And certainly health. I'm so glad Kayla spoke, because health is a big part of it. We all are working towards that. We're all at kind of maybe different levels of that journey, but on the journey nonetheless. So listen to me go with a nice, concise thought, Rob. Did I make you proud there?
I like you. So I'm very proud, Josh. Very proud. Yeah, the next time I get up there, I'd like to meet Dave.
Oh, Dave's the fucking best.
All right, I got two more hands up, and then I think we're gonna close things down after that. Just a reminder, though, that even though the meeting ends, the community that we create does not end. One of the easiest ways to interact with us is through the Discord. Our core team members are all the time interacting with people, referring people, having resources for people in the Discord. So I highly, highly encourage you, if you're not a member of our Discord, to just come and join us in the Discord. And Devin, being the on-the-spot man that he always is, just put the link to the Discord in the chat. And if you're, of course, as I look across the videos, I realize there's nobody as old as me. But if you're not as technology savvy as some people, like I am in many situations, like with Discord, our core team members are fantastic about helping you get into the Discord. And next one we have up on the list is Janine.
Janine.
Hello. How are you? So bear with me for a second. First DSC meeting was end of November 2023. It's now nearing the end of November 2024. So I just want to wish you guys a happy 1 year of meetings.
Wait, is that true?
That is very true.
Oh my gosh, has it been a year?
It's been a year. Happy anniversary, everybody.
That's crazy.
We can like see it happen because Cece was pregnant and now look at her beautiful baby. Like watching the group literally grow right in front of our eyes.
Holy cow.
Wow. So, happy anniversary, Josh.
Yeah.
Everybody. I'm like blown out of the water by that. Well, I'm blown out of the water. We didn't even realize that. I thought to myself, a year is coming up, but I thought February, March. Oh, no, dude, for bringing that up. That is awesome.
We hit it.
Oh, that's great.
So big congrats to you guys. I actually wrote some notes down as well. I just thank you, Raz, for your share today. I pulled out my Kleenex. I am seeing doctors to also have brain surgery. So, your share was so beautiful. It really touched me. Thank you so much. I really hope that you're proud of how deeply you're trying to love yourself and everyone else in this group. I hope we're all here because we know instinctively, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, that we deserve love, and we're going to show up for ourselves if nobody else will. And that's what's bringing us together. Dave, don't sell yourself short. You have an incredible accomplishment. Amy Winehouse died trying to get sober, not as an active addict. She was trying to get sober. She stopped drinking, and that's what killed her. You've gone 3 years. That's amazing. Be proud of yourself. That's incredible. Just Kayla, 3 years. Just everyone who's been sober. Cece, I know you've been on a journey. A year of watching everyone has been really beautiful, and just you all have taught me in your own little ways so much. I actually have never spoken of this because I didn't think it was a big deal either, because I don't ever think anything that happens with me is a big deal, but I have to stop thinking like that. But I used weed as a crutch, and I used to smoke hundreds of dollars a month, and I just hit my 1 year sober. And that's how I knew that Drum Set Confessional was 1 year old, because they
Wow.
each other.
Fantastic.
And just listening to everyone's stories has taught me so much. During COVID, I helped rehab my brother, but both when he was an active addict, he was an alcoholic and addicted to coke, and while he was recovering, there was a lot of tension, and I've really had a hard time wondering where the threshold is for my pain and allowing him to have his redemption story, because I think that everyone is deserving when they are trying their best. And this group has really helped teach me that, like, my feelings are valid and I'm not expecting too much. I'm actually like right where I should be for what I experienced, and I'm not asking for too much. Like, my needs are important, and just all I've ever wanted from because I have a lot of addicts in my life. Like, I'm very affected by addiction, and yeah, the apology and the thank you, which Raz touched on, I think that's what, like, I've been missing and why I'm here, because I don't know what I need. And just, you all have taught me so much to help me become a better and healthier person. And I just want to thank all of you for choosing to get better, choosing to be better, and sharing your stories. This is why we're all here. And just, this is a really beautiful place. Oh, now my cat's beside me. She's all concerned. Okay.
Oh,
But yeah, I just thank you, I guess, is maybe what I'm trying to say. It's just thank you.
well, thank you, Janine. I think Raz really like rocked us.
She did in the
Like
best way.
that thank you thing. It's like, God, it just is it makes so much sense. It just really landed. And I'm like, man, I hope in the past that there was like a piece of that energy in there. But yeah, I can promise you this, going forward, it's going to be a big piece of kind of how I approach any type of situation like that. But it is very much ongoing for me. So just for the record,
Yes.
Gray, right?
Pardon me?
What's that?
It cut out, so I was just
Oh,
being
life. I want to reference the weed thing, right? Weed. Life is gray, right? Two things can be true, because on one hand, I know weed can be deeply therapeutic for some people, and like they use it in a positive way. I recognize that. I'm not adding that. At the same time, weed is fucking powerful, dude. Like, put it this way. Guys that I would shoot $1,000 of heroin a day with don't smoke pot because it gets you too high. It gets too strong. And I'm not talking about modern weeds too strong. No, weed is just the high from THC is too much for us. That was always a really wild kind of uncovering of for me. I always thought, God, in high school, if pot does this to you, what must cocaine do? And then you try coke and it's much subtler.
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's like way more subtle than weed. Weed is a powerful, and weed also speaks to everyone very differently. I can't smoke weed. I'm full on jealous of people that can unwind with a joint and just kick back, write a song and relax, play some piano. Me, I'll smoke a joint and then contemplate why everyone in the world wants to punch me in the face and to hide under a car somewhere. People be like, what's wrong with that guy? That's weed for me. I'm not a weed guy. Jealous, though, of the people that can smoke weed and enjoy it. But, dude, weed is powerful. And, you know, this idea, right? There's this kind of idea that permeates that, like, smoking weed and driving is no big deal. But if I smoked pot, I 100% couldn't drive. The joke stands. Yes, maybe I'll be going 10 miles an hour, but I'm affected. I'm altered. That's for sure. People that smoke weed, I wouldn't think twice about getting in the car with Ernie if he smoked weed. I wouldn't think twice about it. He smokes pot every single day. It's like a part of his, and I recognize it as the therapy. And I'm not, here we are. Both things are true.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot in life. But I want to recognize, like, you saying, hey, I'm using weed as a crutch. I think that there's development that I'm kind of putting up a dam for, and I want to get over this. Big deal, dude. Not a small deal. And I appreciate your accomplishment. And I want to say congratulations. Ginny, you're one of my favorite people. We met on that bus.
Yeah.
And you're just a lovely, lovely person. I feel so honored that you come in here. And while that is true of everybody, I adore you, Janine. You take the time. Every month you're here. Every single month you're here. You're active. And I just appreciate you a lot, dude. Like, thank you so much for your time and energy. Obviously, that goes for everybody in here, man. It means it's selfish of me. I get, just like you were saying, Janine, I get so much from this.
Yeah.
Learning and really, like, all the shares. There's never been a bad share because it's just, we're all sitting at a table at a diner. That's going to be our next meetup. Some point in this year, we're all going to meet somewhere and sit at a diner, talk to each other and cry on
ship next year. So you'll see me next year on the boat.
Oh, the boat. Yeah, of course. Geez. Next year's busy, you guys. I'm not supposed to tell. It's super busy. There's like,
what happened this week that would lead to some sort of like acknowledgement that it's a busy year next year? Did we drop like maybe an album or something?
Oh, well, yeah, there's an album coming out. But I mean, wise, it's out of control. There's a lot. So
I believe it. But it's funny. Going back just quickly to the weed thing. Once I was diagnosed with epilepsy, everyone was telling me to smoke weed. And I was like, you guys, I can't. And you know this. Like it was like, because so many people see it as a therapy in like so many different facets, and they wanted me to treat my epilepsy. And I actually think that's why I'm not seizing as bad as I was, because I stopped smoking.
I mean, that could very easy, dude. Like, yeah, like, oh, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but everything affects everyone differently.
Yeah.
No, and this is where the gray comes in. And that's why I said, like, the world is gray, because both things are true. I guarantee you there's people out there that would say the opposite. And I just want to recognize, like, I do trust that pot is a therapy for people. I'm from Woodstock, you guys. Come on. Like, I get it. But, like, for me, it's not. I wish it was, but it's just not for me. But it's certainly.
Can I be the doctor in the room for like 1 second?
Hey, Maggie. Yeah.
Hi guys.
Let me hold on. Let me pin you in the video so that we can see you.
Oh, an actual doctor. That's nice.
We add pin. There we go. Okay, you're in.
So weed is a treatment for one specific kind of seizure disorder for which it works like a miracle, and for most other seizure disorders it makes it worse. So Janine, you don't have the one specific kind of seizure disorder. I can tell because you're alive at your age, and so like, no, it would not help your seizures, and your seizures are probably better because you stopped. Good job.
Thank you.
Boom. Now you have like some real shit to tell the people. Be like, no, actually, here I spoke to a real doctor, and here's the reality of it. But even like, everyone is different, and I just want to be mindful of that. Like, I don't. If somebody smokes pot every day, like Ernie, and like, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not like in it you're like, hey man, you've got to stop. But guess what? Ernie's been trying to stop. Like he recognizes something. This isn't like a breach of trust. He'd come on and say that to anybody, but he's actually trying to stop. But I recognize it that for people, it can be a therapy. It's just not for me. It's not for you. And but taking a year, it was hard for me to stop. You know, the only way I stopped smoking weed was like I started kind of transitioning into way harder drugs. Because anytime I tried to stop smoking weed, I realized I couldn't. I was in a terrible mood if I didn't have weed. And I didn't recognize these behaviors as like addict behaviors. I just knew me and my girlfriend at the time, we'd be in like a blistering argument. She'd be screaming at me. I'd be yelling at her. We'd get some weed. Be like, hey, I'm sorry, man. Be like, isn't weed great? Maybe that's not great that we need this to get along. Maybe that's not great. I was 19, 18 at the time. So yeah, you learn something over the last 20 plus years. But great share as always, Janine. Thank you for reminding us it's a year. That's a big deal. I'm actually really blown away by that.
Hey, Maggie, or as I like to call her, Dr. Schneider. For those people that are new here, would you share your credentials real quick?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hi, I'm Maggie. I'm a child psychiatrist and neuroscientist with a MD PhD working at Boston Children's Hospital and Harvard Medical School. Hi.
Yeah, she's amazing. And by the way, if we are indeed a year in, it was Dr. Schneider that was our first guest speaker.
I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe that was a year ago.
Crazy. All right. So are we ready to move on to our last one before we close out?
DSC, take it away.
DSC.
Right.
Another one who's here every time. CC, I love you so much. Thank you so much for your energy. I adore you. And you've given us so much here. Thank you. I'll shut up so you can get into it. But you're here every month and it does not go unnoticed. Thank you so much.
I try when I'm not at work. I try.
This one I didn't even notice, but I feel like you've been here at everyone and whatever. You've been at a great majority of them. Honestly, if you told me you were here at everyone, I would concur. But you're busy with a life and a young baby, and you find the time to come here and share with us. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to us, and I just want to make sure that I'm showing the proper gratitude because I know your life is busy. So thank you. Sincerely, thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Josh. No, it's interesting that you bring the topics that you bring up for each month. It's so funny. It's like, I swear to God, you're in my brain because these are things that I need to work on. Like I brought it in the message, but like, the pain of knowing that, yes, there are people in my life that are no longer here, that I can't gain forgiveness or, reconcile with. But there are people alive in my life that because of the behaviors that I made, because of how I acted, how I treated people, how I fucked everybody in my life over, burnt every bridge. There's some people that, though they're well and alive, they will never forgive me. And I have to accept that. And it is hard because, like I want them to forgive me because I still struggle with forgiving myself. That is like my biggest thing is that I don't, how do I put this? Even though I've got over 3 years clean, even though I'm doing so much better than I've ever been, I still don't feel like I deserve the life that I have.
You don't forgive yourself?
And, there's a lot of things that I still feel like I somehow, like that survivor's guilt, I came out way more unscathed than I should have, even though there's a lot of shit that did happen. I've, like you, I've seen death way more times than I care to admit. And I don't know, like, if it's just because, like you said earlier, like I dealt with a lot of bullying. I dealt with family trauma and I dealt with domestic violence. And so it's like, it doesn't matter how good I'm doing. There's still little demons is all I can call them in my head that says, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve to be happy. Make sure, it makes it very hard for me to move forward, even though I just, I kind of just go into autopilot. I'm grateful for what I have. I wouldn't be here with my two beautiful kids if I died 4 years ago, you know? And it's funny because like, I feel like some of it is the self-detriment of just the DV was a big piece of it. Like when you constantly have your family and your people that are supposed to care about you teaching you to tear yourself down all the time. And like, it doesn't matter, like looking in the mirror and saying something like it's pain, saying something positive about myself and meaning it is still painful to this day, because I also am the type of person that always likes to make everyone else feel better, feel good about themselves. Like I can tell you 1,000,001 compliments and how you are such a great person, or anyone is, but I can't do it myself.
Mm.
And, it's something that I'm very actively needing to work on. And so thank you for bringing this up for this meeting. And I'm so glad that I was off work tonight because I really did need this. And Raz, what you said, I felt so connected with that. There's so much there. And then with the other person, Kayla, I'm missing half of my teeth. I can't afford to get dentures. So that's something I have to look at every day too, is that because of the drug use and the mental health and the just overall abandonment of my self-worth, I didn't take care of myself. And now, I have to deal with that every time I look in the mirror. But anyway, I really appreciate everyone that shared tonight. I really needed this tonight. I've got a crashed out baby, so I've probably got to get going.
She likes your voice. Your voice calms her.
But I appreciate you. I love you guys. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Cece.
DC hits us with a lot. I just want to go to my notes quickly. Even if this is selfish, it's important for me to like run down some of the like bullet points, if you will.
Sure.
Accepting on some level that there are people that refuse to forgive you is that's a piece of my life in reality. I've been blessed enough that like they just weren't willing to believe it. Certainly in year 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, it was so much time. But there are relationships that are forever impacted, and there is an element of acceptance. But I think that kind of bleeds into one of the other things you're talking about, like struggling to forgive yourself. I struggle with that, right? That documentary, that in the trailer for it, the first thing I say is every day I wake up and wait for somebody to take this from me. Well, what am I really saying? I don't deserve this. I struggle with that self-worth stuff too. But again, it's another like connective tissue of the human condition that drugs or no drugs, that we all, certainly a lot of addicts share this, man. This is like part of the numbing thing, right? But like a sense of worthlessness that I don't deserve good things. But by God, I think it is changing, man. Did I just say by God in reality? Holy shit. Wow, I'm getting old. It is changing though. And I think through this work, if you like, I want the fact that we're here, right, puts us in a place of like evolved thinking in a way. Like just the fact that we're here and recognizing that there's things to work on, like this is changing. Are there like ancient relics of it? Absolutely. Of this worthlessness. I struggle with that, but it is changing. I do I'm like the old guys will get this. Stuart Smalley, the self-affirmation. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And God darn it, people like me. I'm starting to like put this together. I like myself, right? I say that a lot. Sometimes it's like me trying to convince myself, sadly. Other times it's just so genuine. I do. There are things that I've done in my life that I don't like. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. There are like, hey, I wish I did this differently. But and I'm not I'm trying to learn to not beat myself up about it. But you had said like struggling to forgive yourself. I'm in the fight too, is all I'm saying. But there are days, man. There are stretches of time where it's like, I like this guy. I'll tell you what, Cece, I like this guy looking back at me in the mirror a hell of a lot more than I like the guy shooting up, lying, destroying everything good in his life. That's for sure. I'd like to keep. I told my friend Dave before that he like is an inspiration to me. And he is. Like the people, there's just like these small examples around me, right? That like in everyday life, you might not, Dave's just like living his life, doing whatever. But I just like, you can't help it. You don't pick what sticks. It goes in like, man, Dave's an honorable guy raising up. He's got a big family and all his kids are good kids. And they have parents that love him. I mean, all of that matters to me. And I'm trying to take the examples that the universe is giving me. And part of it, though, is like right in line with what you're saying. Like a lot of that is born from this. Why is it so hard to forgive myself? Deserving the life that I have and the good things in my life. I hope one day I can put that to bed forever. I don't know. Maybe that's too kind of serendipitous or too lofty a goal. Maybe that's just not human, but it is changing for me. I like me. And I do deserve good things. And I want that for you too. And I think like it starts to just get plug in over time. God, I got to read my own handwriting because as you're talking, I'm like active listening, but I'm also treating ourselves with the kindness that we're so easily able to give others. Why is that so fucking hard for us? Why can I would never judge anyone for like the way they look or their weight, but with me, I'm so mean to myself and I'm working on that. My wife's really been in my ear about like, being kinder to myself. And I'm always late to the party. It's starting to land and I'm trying. Like I want to, and all of this bleeds into the other thing, like deserving of good things. Like, let's go easy on me as you put one good day in front of the other. You just mentioned before how good you're doing right now, Cece, how good you're doing right now. As you put together these good days, let's all of us like soften up on ourselves a little bit. I think just the fact that we're in this meeting says a lot. And we all kind of have that connective tissue, man, which there's some kind of beauty in that, right? We're not alone. That to me, when I was a kid, I would go to bed at night. And for some reason, the thought of that there were grocery stores open with people in them made me feel not alone. There are people awake at this hour. It's a strange little kid thought, but you don't pick what sticks. I don't know why it's in there, but that was like a thought I'd have every night when I go to bed because I was so afraid of school the next day or so afraid, which was a big reason why I couldn't sleep at night as a kid. I was so afraid to go to school. We didn't call them anxiety attacks in my house, but my mom certainly suffered from them. And so did I every morning in homeroom in first period. I couldn't breathe. And I call it a stomach ache because it hurt. I was so tight. I'd sit on the bus so afraid and type of words like, I don't think I heard the word anxiety till I was an older teenager. We just didn't call it that. I called it a stomach ache, but that's what it was. It was deep anxiety. And just the feeling of stores being open meant there were human beings that were awake and alive and thinking and feeling. That meant I wasn't alone somehow in my kid mind. But these meetings make me feel so unalone that's the gift that I get from. That's why I always say selfishly, because on one hand it is kind of selfish. I get so much from this. But of course, as always, Cece, I'm going to shut up. But you gave me so much to chew on, and you always do, and I appreciate you always being in here and engaged and sharing with us. Because if there's stuff for me, there's stuff for everybody in here. So thank you. And and I will shut up after this. There was like that was like maybe we'll take off for December, right? I thought that maybe we'll take off for December. I know December is like really busy, and then I thought to myself, Rob, I thought, and this is probably a conversation we should have in private, but me and
Why not?
December's a rough month for people, man. Like
Yeah.
the holidays, all this Christmas stuff you see, people think, man, Josh loves Christmas, and I do. But there is a kind of, I'm kind of combating the haunting sadness of this season, of which it's like heavy for me. And a lot of it wraps around like childhood trauma. A lot of it wraps around hurt from being young when I was young. Even like my first heartache, that shit was traumatic. I thought that was just, oh, this is life. This must be what adults mean when they say life is pain. Every day sick. You know, I feel things like really deeply. And that first heartache happened around Christmas time. And not a Christmas goes by that I don't ponder it a lot. You know, I wanted to not be here anymore, if you catch my drift. And I was just 11 years, you know, and on my first Weird Science record, in the liner notes, I said, thank you to M. Clifford Miller School, junior high, for making me want to take my life at the tender age of 11. Of course, as I always do, I was trying to put a funny spin on it, but the essence of that was deeply real. It's a really like painful time. There's a haunting sadness to the season, and I just can't in good conscience not have a meeting in December. Not if we're really trying to help.
I agree, Josh. We, in fact, you know, my, as busy as things get in December, and they get quite busy because people's lives change a little bit in December. But I think you're right. I think that there's a need to, that maybe it's like maybe a month that is universally kind of important to do these things. Devin and I were having a conversation earlier tonight because my travel schedule gets a little nuts in December. And so we're working on a system where Devin can host the meeting in my behalf in December.
Well, when do you leave, Rob? I leave December 23rd for Portugal.
I leave. Are you going to spend Christmas overseas?
Yeah.
Wow. I leave, I think, the 16th. And I'm back New Year's Eve. So I've literally spent half the month out of the country.
So you're also spending Christmas abroad.
Yes. Yes, I am. Christmas and New Year's.
Why is Devin saying sorry for your loss to Ray? Is Ray, I would assume then Ray is in here. We didn't hear from Ray. So
Ray put in the chat 12/9, December 19th rather, will be 11 years since his sister passed from breast cancer.
Oh
he was
man,
responding to that.
Dude. My sister-in-law, my brother's wife, Melissa, she's a breast cancer survivor, a flat activist. She's marched in DC and in the city, and you know, is always on the front lines of like really, I understand so much more about breast cancer and just the awareness that comes from having her as a part of my life. But I'm really deeply sorry to hear that, Ray. Fuck, man.
Life is hard, dude.
Yeah, another connective tissue, that like health stuff. How much does that come up tonight with everybody? Health things. We can lean on each other. That doesn't fix it, but we're not alone. And to me, that's a big deal.
Yep.
Come on, this group rules. We got doctors in here dropping knowledge. Come on, man. All right, Rob, you want to?
All right. Well, do you have anything else to add before I do the wrap up here real quick?
No.
All right. Well, then let me just say thank you to everybody that shows up and comes to these meetings. I would encourage you to try to bring a friend next month, try and grow their audience a little bit. Thank you to our core team members who help keep everything running, to all the people contributing to the chat. It takes a lot of people to make this thing work. I love you all. And Josh, I think I texted you almost like 8 months ago when I lost a good friend that just died suddenly, and it's just a reminder to always tell the people you love that you love them. And I love you, buddy, and I'm so glad you're here.
Man, I love you, Rob. I really love everybody in this group, whether you talk or not. The fact that you're here, I bring this up a lot. There was a piece of me that was naive to like, it's difficult. I did think like, hey, come on, we're gonna do good. Everybody, come on. But it's hard, and like the people that are in here that give their time and energy, it just means so much to me. I get so much out of everything everybody shares. I love everybody here, and I mean that. That isn't just lip service. It really isn't. I care about you guys, man. I care about Raz, and I care about Kayla and Janine and Thayer. I see you in here, Thayer. I care about the people in here because you care enough to come in here and you care enough to share. It means a lot. It means a lot to me. All right.
It's what makes us a community.
On and on and on. I'm so thankful for you guys, but I love you too, man. I know, dude. Getting older is scary, dude. Like people just aren't here anymore. I say, oh my God, what happened?
Well,
talk about Barry, 45 years old, 99% blockage in his heart. Barry's not. Barry's a specimen when we were kids of athleticism. Like but these things happen. Tell the people you love them and make the most of this brief, no matter what. If we live to be 100, it's still brief, ultimately. Most of this time. And that's how Rob lives his life. Rob has more energy than anyone I've ever met. And I dig it. Inspiration to me. And he knows that. Let's make the most of our time here. And I get that. That's why these meetings mean so much to me. I get so much out of these. And I feel like I am truly making the most of my time here. So thank everybody here.
So in December, you're going to be 45?
Yeah, when December 6th, like in no time. So
yeah, well, 5 days later, I'll be 57. So
good age. Yeah, we're the same age though. It's like once we're all kind of old, it's like and you have more energy than I do, dude. I'm tired all the time.
No, I could not do what you do for a living, sir.
It's funny if I got energy for that, but it's like other things that people do. I'm like, well, but I'm working on it, trying not to beat myself up too much about it. I'm working on like finding energy for things that don't turn me on, my kind of ADD. It's like, yeah, if it turns me on, it's easy to get jazzed for it. I'm trying to find ways to like, hey, this has to get done. You got to move over here. Let's do it enthusiastically and like with a smile and not, these are all the things I'm trying to work on in my life. But shut me up or I'll keep going, honestly.
All right, Josh, I'm shutting you up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love you. We'll see you all soon. We'll see you all next month. We'll make an announcement soon on the date. Devin and I are going to work on coordinating that date. It'll obviously be before the 23rd. And keep checking on Patreon and Facebook, and we'll have updates. See you guys.
Guys.